Good evening. My name is Bob Gizokas. I'm principal of the high school, and welcome to Course Selection Information Night. I'm going to start the evening, and then I'll turn it over to the leadership team, and each one of them will take a turn talking about their respective departments. To begin, here's the agenda. 5 Mythbusters. We're going to talk about subject pathways, the program of studies, how to select courses, reminders and helpful information. And then usually we take questions. We'll do that through email this year. And I'm going to start with the first Mythbuster. All right, here we go. 3, 2. All right, our first Mythbuster. On the Common App for college applications, there's a box that asks this question. Has this student taken the most rigorous course of study available? Our school counselors check that box whenever a student has taken any combination of honors, AP, and/or IB classes for their core curriculum. The myth is only students taking the IB diploma pathway get that designation, and that just isn't true. Next Mythbuster. Both AP and IB are good for students because they serve different purposes. AP courses are college-level courses taught at high school. IB are high school courses designed to prepare students for college. And the myth is that we need to choose between the two programs, and that just isn't true. They serve different purposes. Next myth. Because approximately 93% of our seniors apply to college and over 91% typically go, the primary goal is to prepare students for college. And as mentioned earlier, that's the purpose of IB courses. We have 37 IB courses, and currently 632 students are at least in one IB course. Our curriculum is vertically aligned so that 9th grade students, both PSP and honors, are gaining the skills and content knowledge to be prepared to move into IB as juniors. And the myth is that IB only serves the IB diploma students, and that just isn't true. We're an IB World School. Every student here is an IB student. Next Mythbuster. IB classes are the 11th and 12th grade honors level classes by design. IB and AP courses are weighted the same as honors courses. There's a graphic, and you can see in the 9th grade, in the 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, there's different levels, and at that bottom row, you can see there's honors courses in 9th and 10th grade, and those become the AP and IB courses in 11th and 12th grade. And the myth is there's no honors level at 11th and 12th grade, but there is, by design. IB is that honors level. AP also serves that function. All right, I'm going to turn it over to members of my team. We're going to go through the subject pathways, as you can see. We'll do humanities, film, math science, computer science, engineering, business, and world languages. And first is Chris O'Hara, Dean of Humanities.
Hi, I'm Chris O'Hara. I'm the Dean of Humanities at Bedford High School, and I'm going to talk to you about the pathways that we have available for English and Social Studies courses and also for film courses. So our Social Studies and English core classes at Bedford High School, especially in the first 2 years, are taught as humanities courses where they're team taught between an English teacher and a social studies teacher. So for Roots of Thought, all freshmen will take Roots of Thought. There's a Roots of Thought PSP, there's a Roots of Thought Honors, and then we also have Roots of Thought AB, but that one is by placement. The biggest difference between our Roots of Thought PSP and Roots of Thought Honors class is the level of difficulty as well as the level of independence. So in our Roots of Thought PSP, students will want to choose that course if they want some more reinforcement or support from teachers with comprehension. If they're reading a book and they want to spend some time in class talking about what's happening in the book, why is that important, I didn't really understand, PSP is a good fit for those students. They also will get more support in writing. So if the teachers assign an essay, the students in those classes will get more support. It's more writing workshop. They'll be able to do some peer editing and some conferencing with their teacher during the class. More time is set aside for that. In the honors classes, as they're reading, whether it's history or English, it's going to be more analytical and problem solving and looking at higher level thinking. So instead of talking about what is happening in the novel they're reading, they might talk about stylistic choices and why the author chose a certain, way to have something portrayed in the novel. They're looking at the style of writing. They're looking at the voice of the characters in there. In history, they're making connections not within just their unit, but it's how does this relate to the last unit that we talked about. They're going to do that at both levels, but they're going to be expected to be able to do those more quickly and more independently than at the PSP level. The curriculum, for the most part, is the same. There might be a difference in one, like when they do Shakespeare, they may read one play in PSP and a different one in honors, but for the most part, they're going to cover the same content. And then the same thing happens when they go to American Dream. You can see all the way to the left, that typically is going to be your PSP route. If you go down the middle column, that's going to be the honors. As Bob mentioned, when they become juniors, the honors option is IB classes. So we have IB English and IB History. They have an option whether or not to go on senior year. So junior year, if they go the IB route, they have to take both English and History. Senior year, they can choose to take both, or they can go on, for example, to IB English 2 and not go on to IB History 2. Or they can, like I said, take both. They don't have to take either once they finish junior year. The difference is they just wouldn't be able to test if they didn't complete the course through senior year. So that's pretty much the way Roots of Thought and all of the humanities work. In Writing is another course all freshmen will take. When they take In Writing, we offer it in 4 different ways. So when you're choosing an In Writing option for your incoming freshmen, we have 2 options that occur during the course of the school year. We have 2 options that happen during the summer. During the school year, the students can sign up for the typical In Writing class that's going to operate like every other class they take. They will meet in a block every other day for a semester. It might be first semester, it might be second semester. It's going to be put into their schedule wherever it fits best based on the other courses that students are signing up for. The other option during the school year is that they can take an online. It's called Semester Online in Writing. That is exactly like it sounds. It is all online. It's not a hybrid course. It doesn't live in the student's schedule anywhere. This is to allow students to fit something else maybe into their schedule, or to give them more support during the day if they're in a skills block or academic center. So that is truly an online course. At the beginning of the school year, if your student signs up, or the beginning of the second semester, there would be one class with the teacher teaching the course where they would actually talk to the students about how the course will run, the process for submitting work, what that looks like, with the technology that they'll be using, and to answer any other kinds of questions. And then after that, it's online. The students will have access to the teacher because the teacher and the student will both be in the building all day. It just won't happen during a block. So they would have to set it up before or after school and get extra help like they would with any other course. We also have 2 options that happen during the summer within Writing. One is in the building, and one is a hybrid. The course that happens in the building, again, is it happens all in person. That would be all in person. It would happen, both of the courses actually, I'm going to back up for just a minute. Both of the courses in the summer cover the exact same curriculum as the course during the school year. So it's important to realize that they're covering a semester's worth of work in 5 or 6 weeks over the summer. So they would be here for 3 or 4 days for 4 hours at a time, and they would get through the same curriculum in a condensed amount of time. So those students do have to be pretty motivated. So again, the one that happens in the building would be all in the building. The other option is we have a hybrid in Writing that happens during the summer. And that course is similar to the online during the school year, except there is a week of in-person time with the teacher instead of just one meeting. So during that first week, again, they would talk more, they would go through the curriculum, they would talk about the technology, the expectations, all of that would be covered in week 1. The rest of the course would happen online. It's really important if you choose that option that the student has availability to connect to internet the entire time the course is happening. So even though only the first week is happening in person, there are deadlines that the students have to stick to throughout the entire course. So if they're going away to camp or you're traveling and they won't have access to the internet, it's not going to be a good option. It won't work because there are, peer editing and things that happen when a student gets behind and misses deadlines. It impacts the rest of the course moving forward. Just a side note that we've actually learned in the last year as a result of being more remote in school. If students are traveling internationally, they do not have access at all. Even if they can get on the internet, they will not be able to actually get into the school. Their wireless, their access will be shut down with their school login. So it is important to recognize, even if you think they'll be able to do it, if you're traveling internationally, that would be a restriction that would not allow this to happen. And so that's in writing. You're going to choose one of those. So I went through these, but again, this slide here will talk about the things that I talked about, as far as who should take a PSP class versus an honors class. So, you can reference back to this slide, which is exactly what I explained a few minutes ago. That's the AB class. Again, that is by placement only. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to your child's counselor. And then in writing, again, this goes through all 4 options. So you can look at the 4 options, and again, any questions that come up with any of this, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to answer any questions and help you make the right decisions for your children. And then film studies and production pathways. We also have a film department that's actually grown a lot in recent years. We have added courses, and the courses that we do have grown in popularity. So we have 2 teachers actually that teach us. One is an art teacher, one is an English teacher. So they are learning both theory and script writing and the English side of that. And they're also learning the application of how to then take that and create videos. And so this shows you, we have the 2 courses that are open to everybody are Film Critique and Video Production 1. Film Critique is English, Video Production 1 counts as an art credit. And again, Film Critique is more their critical analysis piece, and the Video Production 1 is creating videos. Those can be taken at the same time. Students do not have to take both of those. They can take one or the other. And then open to juniors and seniors, we have IB Film Studies and IB Film Making. And again, down the left side, IB Film Studies is an English course, counts as an English credit, and IB Film Making is an art course. Students can take one or the other. They do not have to take both. Those teachers work very closely together to set kids up for success, regardless of the path that they want to take. But again, I can answer questions, but by the time students are taking these classes, they can also have conversations with the teachers who teach them, who would help them make the right choice. And next up, we have Martha Pond, who's going to talk to you about math, science, and technology and business.
Hi, my name is Martha Pond. I'm the Dean of Math, Science, Business, Facts, Engineering, and Computer Science here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a whole bunch of different things. We'll start with math, and sometimes our math pathways is referred to as kind of a spiderweb map because there's lots of arrows going in lots of different directions. But that's because math has a lot of flexibility on where kids are going to go and when they're going to get there, and that all starts at Lurgio. So depending on where your child is in 7th and 8th grade is where they're going to start in 9th grade. So let's take a typical PSP student took Pre-Al 7 and Pre-Al 8 and is ready for Algebra 1. And so that would be their 9th grade class. And from Algebra 1, they could then either take geometry or geometry honors, depending on their interests and skills, etc., and all the way up. And you can follow, each horizontal row is a year. And while it is possible to double up only with geometry, we don't recommend that for 9th graders. Their schedules are already really full, and that transition to high school can be very challenging. if your child is currently taking Algebra B, so took Algebra A in 7th grade and Algebra B in 8th grade, then they enter in the second row and they enter at geometry. Most students in this scenario take geometry honors, but not all. Some advanced and really liked algebra, and geometry is not their thing, and maybe honors math is not their thing, and it is perfectly acceptable to be a 9th grader in geometry PSP. So those two pathways are available to students who are currently finishing up with algebra in 8th grade. If you have a student who's taking geometry in 8th grade, they move in at the Algebra 2 level, so at that light green level. Generally, these students take Algebra 2 honors. Algebra 2 honors is a very challenging course, and it is truly multi-grade in that there will be 9th graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders taking Algebra 2 honors. And the pace is pretty fast, and we assume fluency in Algebra 2. And I backtrack for a moment. The difference between geometry and geometry honors is, again, an assumed fluency in algebra. In geometry honors, we use the algebra a lot and assume that students are fluent in that. So at the level of Algebra 2, we do have 9th graders that take PSP Algebra 2. The vast majority take Algebra 2 honors. And that puts them on a pathway that's going to get them to Calculus 2 by their senior year, if they choose to stay on that pathway. We'll have lots of conversations. Your child will have lots of conversations with their math teachers along the way. Kids get the opportunity to explore all kinds of things in high school. And just taking Algebra 2 honors as a 9th grader does not mean they have to, as a senior, take Calc 2. There's lots of different off-routes and lots of different electives. You can see we offer AP Stats as well. The IB Math Analysis class is a challenging college prep class. There's lots of different ways that kids can go in math, but math is generally sequential, and generally you need to follow those arrows. The class I haven't talked about yet is Algebra AB. So Algebra AB is an Algebra 1 class, and it's a class that takes 2 blocks in a child's schedule. So it meets every day, as opposed to a typical Algebra 1 class meets every other day. The 2 blocks are to allow us to go at a little slower pace to do that Algebra 1. It's a full Algebra 1 curriculum, but with more practice and a little slower pace to help students access algebra. And Algebra 1 is a graduation requirement for a BHS diploma and for the state of New Hampshire. It's a high school graduation requirement. Again, there's a dotted arrow just starting in Algebra AB because you need that little extra time in algebra. Does not mean you then have to take an integrated math class. It means that you needed a little extra time in algebra, and then you and your student and the teachers can have the conversation about what would be next. I've also listed some electives there. A couple of courses not on this map are placement only. Algebra AB is also placement only, so as are the integrated math classes. So the math teacher is, your child's current math teacher is the best resource for what's right for your child. Not shown on here are Foundations of Math and Foundations of Pre-Algebra, and those are very specialized placements for students who have some significant math skills deficits. So you would need to have a conversation with your child's teacher at Lurgio about the appropriateness of that placement for your child, and that placement only comes when your child has been recommended by their math teacher for that additional skill building before they're ready to access algebra. I just talked about that. Sorry, I should have moved forward on my slide. Oh, you already did. Thank you, Becca. So just talked about that. Ready to move to science unless there are, you will email me questions about math. For science, same idea. Your 9th grader will start with physical science with a very specialized exception of Foundations of Science, which I'll talk about in a moment. Similar to what Mrs. O'Hara said, what Chris O'Hara said, the difference between physical science and physical science honors is a level of independence. Physical science honors assumes some independent learning. The students do some enrichment work outside with a reading of a book and some Socratic seminars about the history of science and scientific thought. We do a lot of inquiry learning. They're making a lot of connections, and the teachers are supporting that. Physical science is a full lab science with just a little bit more support during the school day for students and a little less assumption of math skills. But if a student is on grade level for math, if a student is taking Algebra 1 as a ninth grader, they can take physical science honors. You don't have to be in Algebra 2 honors to take physical science honors. It has to do with your passion for science and your ability to work hard and work independently. Physical Science AB is the same physical science curriculum, but like the Algebra AB, takes 2 blocks in their schedule, so twice as long. Students, generally, if they're taking Algebra AB as ninth graders, would take Physical Science AB as 10th graders. So they would start with Physical Science AB in 10th grade. We put into place this past year a Foundations of Science class, which is a half credit of science to keep science skills alive and let our kids do some real inquiry about things that really interest them as a semester class. That is also placement only, so that would be a recommendation from your child's 8th grade teacher. From physical science, we move to biology, and there, that is where our IB classes start. So instead of an honors biology, we have an IB biology, and that is available to 10th graders or anybody who's passed physical science. From biology, kind of the world opens up to you to get that third year of science. The traditional pathway would be chemistry. There are students who decide they'd rather have a year-long marine science class instead of chemistry, or they'd rather take Power of Nature and astronomy electives. Those are options to them. The traditional pathway would be chemistry in 11th grade, physics in 12th grade, but as long as you have taken the year 1 of an IB class, you can then take the year 2. So a student might decide to take IB biology 2 in 11th grade and then another class in 12th grade. So again, conversations with a counselor and with your teachers are your best bet there. And this slide will be here for reference if you need to look at the descriptions. For computer science, we have a couple of different options available to kids, and only AP Computer Science A is truly math dependent. Our Intro to Programming and our AP Computer Science Principles class, the kids need to be taking algebra. It can be concurrent or have had algebra. The web design is a truly open to all elective. So web design and Intro to Programming are semester classes available to ninth graders. AP Computer Science Principles, while technically available to ninth graders, is tough to fit into a schedule, to fit a full year elective into a schedule. And sometimes the workload of an AP class is a lot for a ninth grade student to take on. So I would advise waiting, even if your child has met the prereq of Algebra 1, I would advise waiting on that. Either AP Computer Science Principles or Intro to Programming are prereqs for the AP Programming class, which we also offer. We have a couple of different pathways for engineering. The intro course would be what we referred to as CAD back in the day, Engineering Design in 3D, where students learn to use software to design and then build what they've designed. It's a great intro to engineering class, and then an e-design class. Those are both semester classes. They're open to ninth graders. And then from there, students can move into whether they want to do a design tech pathway or a robotics pathway. And then we also offer an architectural design class. And then finally, for business, just to keep in mind, as you do a 4-year plan, personal finance is a graduation requirement for all students. That's a semester elective that most students take as a junior. For ninth graders, accounting and intro to business are open to all students. Intro to business is a great introductory course that, as you can see by the map, leads to a lot of other different electives for students who are interested as they move along. And I'm going to turn it over now to Casey Roop, who will talk about world languages.
Hi, my name is Casey Roop, Assistant Principal and Administrator for World Languages here at Bedford High School. I'm going to take you through the various pathways we have for our 4 different language offerings here at BHS. As you see first over on the left, we have American Sign Language. American Sign Language is a full language just like any other language, has grammar, convention, and culture. It's just done visually with hands, and some people forget about facial expressions. It's a unique, challenging, and interesting way to explore world languages. Next, you see one of our more popular offerings, French. We have French 1, which you may have taken at Lergio, so you may be starting here at BHS at French 2. However, you don't necessarily have to. If you want to start French 1 your freshman year at BHS, you absolutely can. You see that we go up through French 3, And then we start to have a little bit of a spider web like science, but not nearly as complicated. So you can see that you can go the IB pathway, or we have advanced French for students who do not wish to pursue IB classes, but still do want to pursue French classes. That would be advanced literature and conversation and advanced culture and conversation. Once you get through IB French 4, you can go the HL track or the SL track for French 5. Latin. Latin is another one you may have taken at Lergio, so you may start at level 1 or level 2. And this will go similarly to French, all the way up through IB Latin 5. Latin is no longer a spoken language, but is the root of most Western languages, particularly French, Spanish, and Portuguese, but it's also strongly present in English. There's a heavy focus on reading, writing, translation, history, and culture. And you see our most popular offering, Spanish. Spanish follows a similar track to that of French. Again, you can start at level 2 here at BHS if you've already taken Spanish at Lergio. Once you get through Spanish 3, you can choose to continue down an IB pathway, which will take you to either level 5 SL or HL, or you can take advanced Spanish, which has advanced culture and advanced conversation. Next, I'll bring up Mr. Jizokis.
Thank you, Casey. It's important for everyone who's viewing to know that our program of studies is online and it's searchable, which is important because there's courses here that not all of you know about. So I'm going to show you two different things. First, at the top of the website, there's the tabs. They're useful just for understanding the program of studies on a larger scale. The subject pathways that we showed you tonight are there. The course levels, descriptions of PSP and honors and IB and AP, that's all there. Graduation requirements. But there's a lot of stuff that are sort of the big picture program of studies things. So I want you to look at those, especially if you are new to the school, if you're an incoming ninth grader or new to the school. The second piece is the filters. So you can search the program of studies, and there's all sorts of filters you can put on. The nice thing about that, it's going to bring up courses that students and you possibly haven't thought of taking, and ones you didn't even know we taught. And so use those filters, look at what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and you'll find things here that I think will interest you that you didn't know we had. I'm going to take you through that now just to show you what that looks like. So the Program of Studies website can be found on the school site under Academics. When you come to the Program of Studies website, you'll see those tabs at the top. The Pathways tab, you're going to see some familiar things. On the right side are those charts that we've been going over for this presentation. And on the left side, I want all new ninth graders and anyone new to the school to sort of get in here and play around, because you can click on these titles and it'll bring you to a description of, for this case, Manchester School of Technology. And then if you hit that small icon, it brings you back to the main page, and then you can go read about levels. You can go back to the main page, but that stuff on that target and the things that surround it all support the student and making choices about the program of study. So it's very useful. The next tab, Course Selection Resources. On the left side are PDFs for each grade level about the courses available. And on the right side, this course selection tutorial. You'll see it tonight, but it always lives here in case you need to go back and see it. Next tab, Course Levels. You can go straight here if you want to read about PSP, Honors, IB, AP, AB, Foundations, and Electives. Next tab, Graduation Requirements. It's a one-stop shop to find those. They live in different places, but they're also on this page. And then lastly, College and Career Information. So there's a little bit of information about two-year colleges, four-year colleges, some career information, military information, and we also have stuff about New Hampshire scholars. So those are the tabs at the top. If you scroll down, you get to the filters. So these 4 filters on the top here, and then their program of studies descriptions of courses are at the bottom. So in the subject list, it's basically our departments, but you'll see some things in there that aren't necessarily a department. So you'll see sewing classes are there. But scan through those, have your students scan through those. The interests, they're not like the subjects. These are sort of career interests almost. So engineering, film, human services, there's military, there's different filters there. Common searches, it's all courses, semester courses, full year courses, courses for different grade levels. New courses are listed there. And when you click on these, semester courses. Courses come up, and what you see is the title, the department, if there's a prerequisite, the credits, half credit or full credit, and it'll tell you if it's a semester or full year, and then a description. You'll also see icons on some of these. This one has a graduation cap, and at the top there's a key, New Hampshire Scholars of the graduation cap, and then there's dual enrollment, math embedded, and NCAA approved icons on those courses. So use this page, it's pretty useful. These filters will help you discover courses that you hadn't thought of before. Okay, back to the stage. Now I'm going to turn it over to Becca Noe. She's going to take you through some reminders and one thing about signing up for courses. Here she is.
Good evening, I'm Rebecca Noe, one of the assistant principals and Dean of Fine Arts. So for course requests, you want to use PowerSchool to access the class registration page. So this is a photo of that. Parents and students have access to that. And here is Lisa Jacques to walk you through that process.
Good morning and welcome to the Bedford High School course registration tutorial. When logging into PowerSchool, you should see course requests listed on the left-hand side navigation bar. Once you click on course requests, you will pull up the screen for your student or students. For this tutorial, we are going to use an incoming 9th grader as an example. At the top of the page, you will see a description and explanation on how to complete your course selection. Please take the time to read through this for each of your students, as it does vary for the class year that they're going to be enrolling in. At the top, you'll see we start with advisory and wellness. You can see the green check mark here is highlighted and ready to go because these are required classes, so they are pre-selected for you. As you scroll down, the next choice is their humanities course. By clicking on the pencil on the right-hand side, you can see that this student has been recommended for Roots of Thought, PSP, which is our college prep level. We're going to go ahead and select based on the teacher recommendation. Hit OK. Now you can see that this student has selected Roots of Thought, and this roadmap highlight shows the teacher, the student, and you that this student followed the teacher recommendation. Moving down, you'll then see your in-writing course, also required for freshmen, and it gives you descriptions of each of the options for in-writing. In most instances, students will take in-writing during either their first or second semester of their freshman year. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Hit OK. For math, you can also see the student was recommended, and in this instance, they were recommended for Algebra 1. And you can see here that some of the courses, for instance, like Algebra 2, because they don't have Algebra 1 yet, it shows that the prerequisite has not met, so it will not let you select these courses. So we're going to go ahead and select Algebra 1. Okay. And then again for science, physical science, you can see the student was recommended for physical science. In this instance, maybe the student is really excited about science and wants to challenge himself, and you've talked to the teacher and the recommendation was borderline. You can see that you do have the option as a family to go with physical science honors, even though the recommendation was for the PSP physical science. We do recommend following teacher recommendations. This has been the best indicator for success at high school, but it is not going to restrict you if you choose a different path. So you can go ahead and click there. And here you can see in the physical science honors, the roadmap is not listed, so you can see that that student did not follow the teacher recommendation. World language, you can see the box is checked. That's because world language is not a high school graduation requirement. It is strongly recommended for students to take a foreign language. It is required for New Hampshire Scholars and other things. So we do recommend, if they can handle it, that they do their foreign language as well. So they go ahead there. Skills and Bridges are support classes. You will know if your student will need to be signing up for those. And then electives. So electives for freshmen, please take a look at the program of studies linked below and review all of the electives that are available. As you can see when you scroll down, there's 9 pages of electives here. So it's good to have an idea of what you want to select prior to entering this screen. Electives are listed in alphabetical order, so you know if you have a class like video production that you want to select, that you're going to go towards the end of those screens. For students to have a managed time, they want to select 7 credits. So you can see here, this student within writing in the foreign language can select just the one elective. Then we also would like them to select their alternates. Alternates are important because as freshmen, they do get what's left after the seniors, juniors, and sophomores get their classes. They've been waiting longer for those opportunities. So sometimes they don't always get their first choice. So it's a good idea to go ahead in here and they want to select 3 alternatives. This helps their school counselor fix their schedule prior to them even seeing it and get them courses they might be interested in taking. Then, as you can see here, the student has selected between 6 and 8 credits, and you will be able to submit your request. As a reminder, you can go in here as many times as you want and change things while this window is open. Thank you and have a great day.
Some reminders and some helpful information. So in the program of studies, you can go to our BHS website. You go to academics, which is one of the tabs at the top, and then go directly to program of studies. And that's where you're going to be able to do the things in the screencastify that Bob directed you. So everybody should register, even if you think you might move this summer, even if you think you might want to try a different school, register because plans can change. And so then we'll have a schedule set up for you for next year, and it won't be something we have to put together in August when there are a lot less of a selection. Selections can be changed between January 25th and February 15th for current BHS students, and February 2nd and February 19th for current 8th grade students. So we use your final selection to build the schedule. What that means is the day it opens, if you are the very first person to go in and request courses, that's not done yet. You can go in and change it as many times as you would like. That doesn't guarantee you a class. You have up until that last day, and it's the last entry that you put in there that we will look at for your classes. The selection process doesn't guarantee a schedule, but it informs us as we build a master schedule. So it's the core classes that get scheduled first, and then we build the electives that you choose after that. So it depends on where they fit in after your core classes. Seniority dictates the master schedule process. So for example, our seniors need graduation requirements, and so we fill their schedules first, and then after that we'll go juniors, sophomores, and then freshmen. There are 4 days in June you can request changes, and we'll publish those later, but that's after you've received the schedule. You'll be able to look it over. If there's changes that you think need to be made, there are 4 days in June where you can talk to your counselor and make those changes. Then watch the navigation video for a reminder, and it's going to be linked in Bob's Friday's BHS News, and Ed over at Lurgio will link that too for you in a future point. An 8th grade parent information night is May 13th, so you want to make sure to come to that. I know that we'll be doing email questions at the end of this for all of us, so if you have any questions, you can send those in.
Thank you, everyone. Please, if you have questions, email any one of us that you saw up here tonight or anyone else on the leadership team, and we'll answer those questions. School counselors are here to answer questions also. And thank you and have a good night.